Yo, what's going
There
on?
we go. Better.
What's going on, bro?
How you doing? You good?
Yeah, not too bad. All things athletics. So happy to be joined by European and Commonwealth champ Andy Turner. What's going on, bro?
All good, mate. I'm in Dubai in the sunshine, so it's
Living it up, man. Oh, yeah, man.
living it up.
Yeah. Yeah. I just wanted to start by giving my condolences to your late trainer, Lloyd Cowan. You know, how did that link up come about? If you and Lloyd.
Oh, I mean, yeah, Lloyd was a massive part of my life. It all started when I was training at Loughborough College,
Yeah.
and I was training with a guy called Colin Bavell. But I was going to move to
Mhm.
London, and
Mhm.
Colin Bavell just said, "Go and link up with a guy called Lloyd Cowan. He's the best hurdles coach around." So
Mhm.
I went down to London. I was 21, PB of about 14 and a half or something like that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Met up with Lloyd, and then I just started training over at Mile End over at East London,
Mhm.
and that was it. I was with Lloyd until I retired in 2014.
Makes sense. And you, because you're from Notts, aren't you?
Originally from Nottingham, yeah,
Yeah.
then moved to Essex, then moved to London, and then Manchester, all over the place.
Okay. And was you doing any sports prior to athletics, or was it just always athletics for you? Or did you consider
No,
doing anything else?
football was my thing. When I was 10, 11, 12 years old, I played for Notts County. I got signed on, played for Notts County. Played at Wembley twice actually,
Okay.
and
Nice. Yeah.
that was kind of my thing. But I was always quick.
Mhm.
But the quicker I got, the less touch I had. So I was never going to make it as a footballer. So
Mhm.
I just kind of called that one a day, and then just stuck to athletics. When I was like
Mhm.
probably 13, I kind of started dedicating myself to it a bit more.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I was wondering because I used to do martial arts myself. Then I started doing athletics, and then I wasn't doing it for too long. Then I got into the officiating because I'm a timekeeping official. I'm a field judge
Okay.
official. So now just trying to get my badges really for coaching. So yeah,
Yeah,
man.
fair play to you, mate. Yeah, fair
Yeah.
play to you.
So would you say uh, talking about Athens, would you say that was too too early for you, or was it just how would
It's
you
mad
tell me?
because I never made it. I never made it to a junior championships. I never went to a World Juniors, European Juniors, Commonwealth Youth. I never did any of that, and I literally chucked in at the deep end in Athens
Mm,
Olympics. And I think is that what people don't know is that I qualified early in the season for Athens,
mhm.
and I didn't. It was never even on my horizon to make the Olympics. I didn't think I could go to Olympics,
Yeah.
but I qualified early, and then I had Achilles problems, and then I
Mm,
tore my quad the day before I left for the holding camp. So I didn't even know if I was going to run in Athens until the day before
mhm.
the day they brought the actual race. So the preparation was terrible, but you know, you look at my championship record for the next probably two champs going European indoors and stuff. I didn't never got out of my heat. I wasn't.
Yeah.
I just didn't have those
Mhm.
like. I felt like a little fish in a big pond, and I probably wasn't even meant to be there. Um, it just took that experience, I suppose,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
it all paid dividend later on in my career.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Would you say so we'll just fast forward to the 2007 World Champs. Was that a bit of a disappointment considering the success you saw the previous year in the Europeans getting the bronze and then the World Champs was a bit of a
Yeah, it was. Yeah, well, and I won the bronze in the Europeans and Commonwealths that year, and everything was
mm,
going really well. But 2007, I can't. Oh no, I went to there's a Osaka, the World Champs.
yeah, Osaka, yeah.
Yeah, so no, I mean I went there and I think my PB was like 13.4.
Hmm.
And then in the heat I just went 13.2, and
Hmm.
I knew I was in shape. I knew I was good to go. Um, so it didn't really surprise me to run that time, but you know I beat some big names, and at the time these were guys that I really looked up to. So to beat them was special. But then
Mm,
the semi final, I remember it was the first two in the two fastest losers, and I had Dayron Robles on one side of me and
yeah.
Lou Zhang on the other side of me, and
Mm,
David Oliver in the race and
bit
Erich
of
Merritt.
a,
And it was a serious semi final, and you know
strong field, man. Strong field.
crazy field, and you
Yeah.
know I didn't. I ran for my life. I treated it like my final, and I didn't run as quick as the heat, but I still ran quicker than my personal best from before I went to the champs. So it wasn't. I didn't see it as a disappointing champs not to make the final. I was, I went there and I ran as quick as I could at that time. So I was happy enough with that.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask, has there ever, because this happens a lot. A lot of people's semi-final times. Sometimes they're better than the finals. Is there ever a disappointment to you when, like, say for example, your semi-final, your previous time was better than the next time in the next round? Is there ever a disappointment? Feel like even if you win the race, or is it just you've won?
You always want to run fast. You always want to run quick
Yeah.
times, but when it gets to the champs, it's about qualifying, and you
Yeah.
just do what is not what it takes. You just, I don't know. You just run for your life, and if it's good enough on the day, it's good enough. And if the time doesn't equate to a good time, who cares? As long as you get through the round and you make the final, then you just run it. You run every race like a final.
Makes sense. So I think I know the answer to this, but I'll ask anyway. So your in terms of hurdles, I assume your idol was Colin Jackson, or was it?
Yeah. Colin was at the time when I came through. He was the big dog, and then Tony Jarrett was around as well. And I remember the first time I raced Colin was at the 3As one year, and I knew full well I was never going to make the final. I wasn't good enough, and I was in the lane next to Colin, and I did a false start on purpose, just so the camera zoomed in on me, just because to show my mates that I got Colin Jackson next to me. It was mad, but Colin was running the world, so he was always someone to look up to.
Well, I've never heard of anyone full starting on purpose.
Listen, back in them days, you had two and you were gone, so you could do a false start, and the camera would always zoom in on whoever did the false start. So I just
TV time, yep.
Got to get TV.
How did you? Denver, speaking to Sharman about it, how do you work out your lead leg? Is it just the one that goes up like instantaneously? Is that you just run?
It just seems to be it's natural. You for a sprint hurdler, you just have one leg that just feels right and one leg that doesn't necessarily feel right. I can hurdle on my other leg. I can still do it, but nowhere near as good as with my main lead leg. But I always find that if you're a long jumper and you take off on your left leg, then your right leg will be your lead leg on the hurdles. It's just how it works. It's just everyone's got their own preferences.
Yeah. So in 2010, I think you won at the FBKs. Did that win kind of stead you on to the European glory? Would you say in 2010?
I remember winning at that FBK race in Holland.
Yeah,
I won it like 3 years on a trot, and it was always. I loved the race, and I knew I was running well that year. And I won that race, and I felt pretty good. And if you win a good race against good competition, you take that into the next race full of confidence. So I didn't fear anybody in the Europeans. I knew that I was there as a potential medalist, and fortunately, came home with the gold.
So at the World Champs 2009, was there any injuries there? I'm trying to remember
So 2008, I got cut from funding. 2009 was all in the media about being cut from funding. And so when you don't have the funding, you go and race everywhere to make your money. So I literally raced every single race I could find to make enough cash. And I over raced, and then in the holding camp going into Berlin World Champs, I tore my hamstring, and it was a grade 2 tear, so it wasn't one of those ones where you could force it. But I ended up having about 50 injections, like a natural homeopathic healer, to try and get me in shape, to try and get me back on the track. So I was in good shape that year. I was running for quick times, 33s regularly, and times it would have put me in a final, but my body just wasn't up to it at that time.
And a question which I've asked a few people. So in 2005, when we got the home Olympics, was you saying to yourself, I've got to be there, or was it more of a case of we've got 7 years, like You know, which one did you?
For me, it was, yeah. I mean, it was great that we got it, but it wasn't something I was excited about. You know, I just took every year as it came. You know, if the Olympics were in any other country, I didn't really care. I just wanted to run. So you just got to put it to the back of your mind and focus on the year you've got in hand.
So the European final in 2010. Obviously, I say Petter was winning a lot of the race until he stumbled.
Yeah.
Would you say when he stumbled that was your opportunity? Did you think he was going to win anyway?
No, because the thing is, in the semi-final, a couple of hours earlier, I was beating Petter Svoboda, and I hit a hurdle, and then he came past me. And then obviously in the final, roles were reversed. He hit the hurdle, and I came past him. And you know, whether I would have caught him or not, I don't know. Probably not, if I'm honest, because he's a strong athlete. But in the hurdles, there's 10 hurdles, and you've got to clear every hurdle right. Otherwise, one mistake will cost you the race, and you know, one mistake cost him the race. And fortunately for me, I had 10 clean hurdles, and that's what it's about. Who makes the least mistakes potentially will win the race.
And Ristoff Lemaitre, I think when I watch him, especially in the 200, you can see he's a very strong finisher. He comes on strong last for 30, 40 meters. And would you say that about yourself?
Yeah, I always... Lloyd was one of those coaches who made sure that I could run a good 400. I could run a good 300 and a 200. So being able to run 20 point and 46 for a 4 helped me in good stead throughout the latter parts of my race. So strength-wise, I knew that I could do probably 13, 14, 15 hurdles before, you know, fatigue really sets in. So I always made sure that the back half of my race was strong, because my start wasn't always on point. It was a weak point for me. But yeah, Lloyd always made sure that, you know, after all the quick sessions, he took in a 250 or a 300, just to make sure that I'm rolling.
So what was it like wrapping up another gold in that same 2010? So it feels sweet.
Yeah, it was a beautiful year. What can I say? It was. You went to Delhi as a champ, and then you've got different pressure on your shoulders when you go in as a champ, and everyone expects you to win. But I've never felt races easier, to be honest. I mean, I remember in the heat, I got out to the first 2 hurdles hard, and I just went into cruise mode, and I went 13 and a half, and it never felt as easy as that. And in the final, you know, I got to about hurdle 3 or 4. I knew I was in the lead, and again, rather than pushing, I just tried to keep everything smooth and tight and make no mistakes. So I felt like I could have run quicker, but I didn't need to. I just did what I had to do. And minimize the chance of making a mistake. So I did that. You know, obviously winning the gold was brilliant, and with Will and Lawrence winning the silver and bronze, it was, you know, it was a pretty special day.
And did you and Will and Lawrence, did you say to each other prior to the race that we're gonna do 1, 2, 3?
No, to be honest, I mean, I think we all knew that was potentially on the cards, but you know, we're all competitors, so. Myself and Lawrence, we were pretty cool. We were pretty tight. Myself and Will, we didn't really spend much time together. You know, he was more of a rival than a friend. But yeah, we all knew it was on the cards. We all knew we could do it. I think, unfortunately for Will, he actually got ill the night before. He got Delhi belly the night before, so he wasn't 100%. But I don't think he was in his best shape. So I still think had he been fine, I still think I would have beat him on that day. But you just never know. You never know.
Yeah. Would you say there was a gold which felt sweeter, or were they both just?
Probably the Europeans, purely because, like I said the year before, when I was cut from funding, all the people that doubted me and said that I was too old and I was too slow. I was 30 when I won my gold in the Europeans, or 31, I can't remember. So everyone said, "You're too old. It's not going to happen." But I knew it. I knew I could do it. I knew I still could do it. So it was nice to prove the people wrong, and it was nice to prove British athletics, who kind of fought against me, to cut my funding. You know, those are the guys that tried to give me a big hug after the race, and I'm like, hang on a minute, you know, you
Mm.
didn't believe in me, so
Yeah.
it was nice to prove all them guys wrong.
And are you on the start line? Are you ever nervous? Or has there ever been a time you're nervous? A particular race?
All the times. I mean, it's amazing when the camera's on you and you're looking down the lens. People look at you and think, you know, he's in the zone, he's on it. Whereas I don't. My mind just goes everywhere, and I'm thinking stupid stuff on the start line, and then, you know, I struggle to focus, if I'm honest. But I was always nervous. I always had butterflies. I remember London Olympics was probably the worst in the heat. I knew I could qualify. I knew I should qualify, but I knew I wasn't quite 100%. But I was shaking. I was literally shaking. My hands were shaking, and the nerves were different level because, you know, you had 80,000 people in the stadium, millions of people watching at home. It was a nerve-wracking occasion, and obviously the pressure that you put on yourself adds to that nerves. But
So you have the record for the 200-meter hurdles. Is that right?
yeah, I mean, it's not run very often, but
No.
they put it on Deansgate in Manchester every year. And every time I was fit, I won the race. And, you know, they used to bring in the best 4 hurdlers, the best sprint hurdlers, but nobody got, you know, no one beat me. No one could get close. And these, you know, Angelo Taylor, Bashawn Jackson, these are guys that are quick on the flat, but they couldn't beat me. It was my favorite event. Out of doubt, that's my event, and I just wish it was an Olympic event.
Would you ever, or did you ever consider doing the 400 hurdles, or is it too far for you?
The thing is, I ran 46.4 for a 400, so I know I've got the legs for it. I can hurdle on the other leg. I just didn't like the event. I didn't enjoy it. And the one time I did it, I fell over at the last hurdle when I was about 17, and I fell over at the last hurdle, and it just put me off. And I just felt like I always had a bit of unfinished business with the 110, so I just kept pushing on that. And, you know, in hindsight, 4 hurdles was probably an event that I should have had a good crack at, but, you know, it just you know, I'm quite happy with what I did in the sprint hurdle, so I'm not like that fussed.
So that I've got to say, that 2011 World Final, that's one of the best finals I've seen. So how did you feel getting the bronze after you thought you came fourth? Then
no, it's annoying. I got a slight cramp before in the warm-up area, and it was kind of on my mind a little bit, but it didn't affect me during the race. But when I crossed the line, I was like, okay, I've just come fourth in the world. I'll take that. That's pretty cool. My time, wasn't happy with my time at all. Nobody ran quick that day though. But yeah, I was on the track and I was thinking fourth in the world. You know, that's okay. I had no idea what happened in the middle. And then I went back to the warm-up area, and as I was walking back to get the bus back to the hotel, somebody just shouted my name and like, you've got the bronze. And then I just didn't think it was ever going to happen until I actually got it stood on the rostrum and got handed the medal. It just felt surreal, and it's madness, man. It really, really is, because I genuinely, as a kid, never considered winning medals or even going to Olympics. It wasn't. I just did it for a bit of fun. And then, you know, all of a sudden you're mixing it with the best guys in the world, and it's just surreal. You know, it really is.
Yeah. So would you put the world bronze a bigger achievement than the European gold? I would.
I mean, if you look at it for what it is, then probably yeah. But I'd still say that the gold, I was happy with my gold. It was into a headwind. I ran 13.2, so I still think that was probably my better achievement. But you know, you can, and the day I can still say I'm a bronze medalist in the world, and that's still pretty special to this day.
There's one question I wanted to ask. When you was competing, did you have, obviously apart from yourself, did you have a favorite hurdler? Like someone that you just, like, this guy, I respect him. He's like Zhang maybe, or Robles.
Those two.
Oliver. Yeah.
I mean, initially when when I started getting on the scene and going abroad, it was always Alan Johnson. I raced Alan a couple of times and didn't think for a minute he knew who I was. And then one day we had to get the bus back to the airport early in the morning. And he just said, "Oh, Andy, you had a good race yesterday." And I was like, "Wow, Alan Johnson knows my name. That's crazy." So it was him initially. Then he retired, and it was always Liu Zhang and Robles. Robles was probably the most beautiful technician I've ever seen. I loved watching him. But Liu Zhang, he was just a competitor, regardless if he's fit or not. He's going to pull something out of the bag. He was just a machine. So it was definitely always those two guys.
Yeah. Like, I just remember seeing that picture when he got injured, when you helped him off the track. That was at 2012, wasn't it? Yeah.
When you share the rostrum with somebody, you kind of, it's almost like a bonding experience. So I just felt like it's just what you do. You help somebody, don't you? You help him off the track. The guy just popped his Achilles. So he's a big guy as well, man. He's heavy.
So would you where are the fast tracks in the world? I always wanted to know that. I just hear the term so much. Like,
I don't know. Look, if you're in shape, you're going to run fast anywhere.
Yeah.
So like one of my quickest times was Manchester in Sport City. Like, and everyone says it's a slow track, but I always ran quick there. So it's like the hard tracks, the ones that have been cooked by the sun. The Mondo tracks have been cooked. They're supposed to be the fast tracks. But I've been to fast tracks before and I've not run fast, so I don't really buy into all that as much.
And you never thought about competing in any field events, or nah, that's not for you?
Yeah, I actually got years ago. There was something called the youth. It's the youth league now. That it used to be the McDonald's league back in the day. I did long jump and I actually got the record. I jumped 7:23 when I was 16. That was the record. And then I've never done it before. I just literally turned up on the day and just had a go and did it. So that was always something in my mind that I'd like to have had another go at.
Have you ever considered athletics coaching yourself?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm out here in Dubai doing now. I'm coaching kids. Yeah, back in England, it's just too time consuming. I don't have the time. I've got 4 kids of my own. I run a gym. I just generally don't have the time. But out here at the minute, I am coaching kids. I'm enjoying it as well. It's nice to be back, kind of getting involved again.
Yeah. So you got obviously the European gold, the Commonwealth gold. Are you pleased with your career? Are you happy? You've done all you can.
I genuinely think, like, the way I see it is, if you get like a sponge, you dip it in water and you just keep rinsing it and rinsing it and rinsing it until every single drop gets out. That's what I feel like I did in my career. I don't feel like I could have done much more. I think I was probably robbed a little bit through injuries. I've run quicker times, but with regards to medals, I made 5 finals in my career and I won 5 medals. So I've got 100% medal.
Yeah.
In that respect. So I did more than I ever imagined I could have done.
Yeah. And obviously you had a lot of injuries, but was it just a little bit of a disappointment about that you didn't get an Olympic medal? Because I think you could have if injuries.
Yeah, 2012 was definitely the year. But that's the year my Achilles tendons really flared up. And then as soon as the Olympics finished, I had bilateral Achilles surgery. So I think I think the Olympics was like my bogey years. Something always seems to go wrong, but it would have been nice if it went right. But I don't look back on it and think like I'm disappointed with it. I'm not. I'm genuinely not.
And was there a particular race which said to you, "Oh, I've got to call it a day now," or was it just?
I just knew. I knew after the Olympics. I'd had these surgeries. I wasn't 100%. My mum passed away, and I just thought I need to just get back on the track one last time, just to have a go. And I didn't really care if I won or lost 2013, 2014. And that's the thing. I was on the start line, and I was like, I had no nerves, no adrenaline, and I just knew that I was done. I was ready to do something else, if I'm honest. But 2014, I mean, I fell over in the Commonwealths. I know I should and could have done better in that. But even then, I was done. I was cooked.
Yeah.
I felt like my head was fried. I was ready to finish.
Yeah, just going back to what I was saying about the nervousness. Like, 'cause there's been times where I've been competing in martial arts or even playing football. Like, my dad comes to watch. Just sometimes I get more nervous when my family's there. Has there been times where like your family has been there to just puts more pressure on you, sort of thing, or is it
Yeah.
the support? Do you ride off it, or?
No, I mean, my daughters were at London with me. They were at 2012 Olympics with me, and they came to watch. And you know, I always want to do better when they were watching, but so that when they go back to school the next day, people say, "Oh, your dad was on TV. Your dad did this. Your dad did that." So I think I always put pressure on myself to give them some bragging rights, I suppose.
Yeah. And when I was training, the thing which I didn't like, obviously it's important, but just I think it's the stretching. Obviously, you could stretch for over an hour if you wanted to for athletics training. Was that aspect of training which you didn't like, or was there aspect which you did like?
No, I mean, I was never the most flexible, but it's something I had to work on. You know, I'm not the tallest of hurdlers. I'm 6 foot. You know, some of the guys that are 6'2", they can just step over a hurdle easily, whereas I had to stretch to get over the hurdle. So I really had to work on my flexibility. But yeah, it was never the best. But you know, got there in the end, I suppose. Got there, got in just enough flexibility to get over the hurdles anyway.
So what would you say is just one piece of advice you'd give to like a younger hurdler?
Do you know? I'd say aim higher than you think. Aim high, because I genuinely, and I go to schools and I tell kids this, that I didn't think for a minute I was ever going to be on TV running and winning medals. Didn't cross my mind. But had I aimed higher at an earlier age, potentially it could have been there. I could have been there at an earlier age. So to aim high and just keep going, like you're gonna have, you know, in athletics, you're gonna have 10 bad races, but then you'll have 1 or 2 good races, and those just they make it all worth it. So you have to be patient with it, I suppose.
Yeah. So there's a time I was doing karate and I was fighting and I beat one of the favorites in the earlier rounds. So it was kind of, and everyone was saying, "Oh, look, you beat the favorite for the whole competition. You're gonna go on and win it." Has it ever been like that for you, where you're thinking, "Oh, if I beat this guy in the heat, I've got a chance of winning the whole thing because he's the favorite," or do you not?
I try and ignore. I always try to ignore who was in the race. Like I was always an underdog in all the races I was in. I was always, you know, I was at a time where running 12.8, 12.9 was standard. Lining up against the 4 or 5 quickest hurdlers in history.
Right.
So I genuinely just tried to, you know, do me, because I know that they were better than me, but if they made a mistake, then I can capitalize. So I just had to focus on myself and try and forget, you know, who's in the lanes next to me.
Has there ever been a time where you feel like you've ran the best race you can and you still haven't won? Like it must hurt. Like,
You know what? I don't. I probably don't have a. I probably don't have that. No.
that's good. That's good. You don't.
Yeah.
So yeah. So yeah. So what goes through your head, would you say, when you kind of knock a hurdle? Is it just the fact of just completing the race or just getting back into stride? What's the thought process? It must be a bit panic. That's what I would feel.
It can be. I mean, if you hit one really hard,
Yeah.
then and it really knocks you off, then yeah, it's trying to recover. And by that point, those guys are gone. You can't catch them. So you're just trying to finish the race. But yeah, that's what it is. It's panic. Yeah, you just think it's frustration as well, because say there's 10 hurdlers and one mistake can go from being the very best race to being, you know, a loss.
And how much was your eating habits and your diet changing prior to competing professional? Was you eating like junk food before?
Yeah, I mean, my diet could have always been better. I was always pretty
Yeah.
healthy. I always
No,
ate relatively well. But if I wanted chocolate, I'll eat chocolate. And thing is, well, when you're on the circuit, you know, you're living at hotels, so they always provide the food for you. So it's generally, or you know, the standard chicken, rice, and veg, and so you're normally eating pretty well, to be honest. But you know, if I wanted something, if I wanted a chocolate bar, I'm gonna have a chocolate bar, like because I train every day, sometimes twice a day. So you know, I never really got out of shape. So I was always the lucky one.
yeah, and like me and myself, not even with sports, but there's sometimes when just at work, because I used to work for I work at like a video production company, and there's my manager would tell me to edit it like this, and I because I studied at uni, I was taught a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So has there ever been a time where like your coach, where any coach has said to you, "Oh, I want you to do this," and you don't like agree with him? Is there a way to go about that? It's just
I mean, no, look, I mean, Lloyd always watched. Lloyd was my coach. He watched everything,
mm,
and if he ever said anything to me that I didn't agree with, then we'd have a discussion about it. And that was what's so good about Lloyd, because it wasn't like a dictatorship; it was a
mm,
partnership. And if he said this is going to work, and I said fair enough, then we do it. If I said this is going to work, and he said no, it's not, you know, we have a talk about it, and we find what works for both of us, and that's exactly what we did, and that's why it worked so well.
yep. So a lot of boxers, they watch back their fights. Are you watching back your races?
Yeah, I used to watch it back. Yeah, I mean, not so much anymore, but I used to analyze every single hurdle, see where I went right, see where I went wrong, time in between. You have to, you know, you're talking thousands of a second. You got to try and find ways of stealing them thousands of a second here and there. So yeah, you have to analyze it. You have to.
hmm So as we see a lot, see a lot mainly in football, I'd say. How would you? You're quite not lucky, but let's say you competed in a time before social media was as big as it is now. Like, how would you deal with trolls?
I used to get them all the time, mate. I
Oh,
mean,
is it? Oh, okay.
yeah, I used to get it all the time. You have a good race, you're an idiot. You have a bad race, you're an idiot. Like, you know, there was times where I'd take the bait and I'd tweet back and then start a bit of Twitter beef. I remember having
Yeah.
Twitter beef with Piers Morgan one day. Like,
I
it's
think
just,
everyone has.
yeah, he was there tweeting me. I was like, dude, have you got nothing better to do?
Yeah.
But you know, it's just part and parcel of it, mate. It's just like, let's say you have a good race, you're an idiot. You have a bad race, you're, you know, even bigger idiot. So you get used to it after a while. You just try and switch
Yeah.
it off, just ignore
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I know I've been mentioning a lot of sports, but in snooker, I think it was 1985. Dennis Taylor, Steve Davis. When Steve Davis lost on the black ball, I remember his interview that he was fuming. So
Yeah,
what's it like doing an interview after you've lost the race? Because I just wouldn't want to be there. But
yeah.
you know,
It's tough, man, because like
you know,
you literally finish and then the camera's in your face, and so it's very raw. So the
mm,
camera it picks up everything that you're feeling right there and then. And if you have a good race, the interviews, you're buzzing, you're dead happy. But then if you have a bad race, sometimes you feel like you need to. Some people feel like they need to explain to other people what happened on TV. Um, yeah, and sometimes you just kind of own it and just say, look, you know, I messed up. And other times people blame other things or this, that, and the other. And it is difficult, but I felt it is part of being a professional athlete is that people have
mm,
not a right to know, but people want to know. I'd want to know what happened in a race. So I always
yeah.
try to explain the good and the bad of what happened.
hmm Yeah, so Van Niekerk, he's got the world record for the 400, but he's also got it for the 300. Do you think that will be an Olympic event in years to come, the 300 meters,
Don't know,
or
because we
should
keep
it?
talking about new innovations in athletics. I think it's a good event.
Mm,
I'd be interested to see what people could do. If it did it, I don't think it'd be in the near future. I think it'd be quite a long way down the line. But you know, with the world relays coming in and they're doing mixed relays and this and that, who's to say that they're not going to start adding in new events? Who knows?
Mm-hmm. So I was working at an event in Milan. I was doing timekeeping, just before COVID, and I was speaking to this young athlete, and he's saying how like he kind of admitted it was him, like he's argumentative guy and stuff. He's had something like 3 coaches in the space of 18 months. So how would you? I know it's crazy. What do you think about that? Do you think he should maybe find something else to do, or it's a bit?
Yeah,
Like, I didn't know what to say to him. I was a bit like, wow, it's like, it's crazy, man.
you need to stick to the coach, and the coach has got a plan. Like the plan's not going to happen instantly. Like you can't just flick between different coaches. Stick to the coach, see how it goes, give it time, and then if it doesn't work, then move over. What there's times me and Lloyd we didn't get along, and these things happen. But you've just got to, if you buy into the coach, so you've got to put some time into it. He's put time into you.
Yeah.
Hopefully it pays off. But 3 coaches in 18 months. No, you got to
Yeah.
look at yourself there. The coach is not the problem.
No, it can't be. But then he said something like, the coach told me something, then I didn't win the race and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's the one with the problem, not the coach.
yeah. So how did you get into the bodybuilding? Is it your brother?
My brother, he's a professional bodybuilder out in Australia, and he got into it years ago, and I needed something to do when I retired. I didn't want to run anymore, but I always wanted to be bigger in the gym, and I used to run at about 78 kilos, but I dropped weight to try and get my power to weight ratio quick. So as soon as off season came, I went to like 80, 84 kilos quite easily. So to put on the size wasn't particularly difficult. It was just eating all the food all the time and different kind of training. But I did it. I just wanted to see if I could do it. Look like those guys in the magazines, just get a photo and show my kids and stuff. And so I did it for a little bit, and then I retired from all that now. I can't be so strict with that anymore.
Now it's just chill time, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah. So now, in the current hurdling scene, you got like Grant Holloway, Omar McLeod, got Orlando Ortega. Do you think one of them is gonna come and just dominate the hurdling scene, or do you think? Yeah, he looks special, especially in Doha. That's what I thought. Yeah,
he's ridiculous. So when he went 7:35 or something at the weekend, and he's another level. If he got a clear run of competitions, he'll break both indoor and outdoor world records, and he'll be untouchable. I don't think there's anyone going to touch him.
Yeah, he does look good.
He's a very special athlete, that guy.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to ask, really. It's been great, man. It's been great. Appreciate you coming on, man.
Pleasure.
Yeah, man.
Go back out in the sun now.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Have a nice time, man. I wish I was there too.
Not a bad little view. There's the track.
Nice.
Not too bad, is
it? Good.
All right, man. It's good talking to you.
Yeah, man. All things athletics. Andy Turner. Appreciate it, man. Love.
See you later.